I'm Chad Booth. This week on the county seat, we will be talking about the transfer of public lands and how the passage of that bill has started a movement across the West and apparently across the nation. One of the questions that we will be discussing or should be discussing on this issue with our guests, Ken Ivory, representative from Utah, Commissioner Alan Gardner, is can the states actually manage the lands, the public lands of Utah better than the federal government? What say you?
You know, the states already manage millions of acres of public land throughout the West. There's any number of studies that show that the states more effectively manage the public land for revenue. In fact, there's a study out of Nevada that says the states generate on average $6.29 an acre managing public land, while the federal government loses $1.86. We can't afford not to. Right now we have millions of acres of forest burning every year, burning animals, wildlife, habitat, and destroying them for generations. It's time to really step up. We can't afford not to do this.
What are your thoughts, Alan?
I agree completely. You know, it's just shown over and over as you go from one state to another that they've been more effective in managing their lands than the federal government has.
Is that partly, you think, due to the fact that the decision-making body or entity or person is closer, actually physically closer to the land than a large bureaucracy?
You know, I mean, it's very simple. Those whose lives and livelihoods depend upon the wise stewardship of the land, they're going to be more responsive and responsible than someone that's here on a 2-year rotation from New Jersey.
Kind of an interesting thought. Do you ever wish you could get a federal bureaucrat from Washington to get out to Washington County so you could go show him how silly his policies are?
Yeah, and when you do get one, you get them there and you just get them to understand some of the issues, and then they're transferred, and you've got the whole education process to go through all over again. So it's kind of a never-ending battle trying to keep them informed. But you know, another thing is this does away with the federal government has got itself so bogged down in regulations and things that they're just constantly tied up in lawsuits, and they can't move because of the laws that they've passed, and the states can get away from all of that.
Do you actually think that's part of the reason that that it costs them money? Because people are saying, oh, we couldn't, how would we ever afford taking care of all this land if it transferred? The federal government spending billions.
Yeah, federal government's losing money, and no fault to the people on the ground. I think the people on the ground working for the Forest Service, BLM, care about the lands, want to take care of them, but the policies that come from 529 members of Congress that aren't from Utah don't reflect Utah, the needs on the ground, the land on the ground, the unique characteristics, climate, geography. And so, you know, like we said, those whose lives and livelihoods depend upon it, history, common sense tells us, and the data tell us they're more responsive and responsible.
Well, you've got a little taste of what you'll see on the county seat this weekend on ABC4 at 8:30 on Sunday morning. Follow our conversation on Twitter, follow our conversation on Facebook, and for detailed analysis, look to our website, thecountyseat.tv. We'll see you Sunday morning for the full discussion at 8:30.